What does visual information design look like? It can take many forms, from diagrams to charts to maps to motion graphics. They can be static or interactive, standalone or integrated into stories. Let's take a look at some examples. Here's an infographic from the Washington Post that shows us the challenge of the incredible depth faced when searching for the wreckage of missing Malaysia Flight 370. What I love about this piece is that it uses the power of design to engage us as readers and communicate this great depth in a very experiential way. It's not only clear and accurate, it's highly memorable. A graphic like this can be made mostly with vector drawing products like Adobe Illustrator and some basic HTML skills. A team of 1 to 3 could put this together. This graphic from the NYT Upshot blog uses cartography and data visualization to display how basketball fans root across the country, pulling data from Facebook. This is a successful piece for a number of reasons. It lets you see the broad picture, but at the same time it lets you explore down to the county level to find the parts of the country that you, the reader, might find the most interesting. And paired with this is a separate series of maps used to annotate and use reporting gathered to highlight some of the more interesting things to pay attention to, rather than leaving the onus on the reader to discover this all on their own. Graphics like this are made using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript skills, including JavaScript libraries like D3, developed in part by my colleague Mike Bostock. D3 allows for powerful pairing of visuals and data in a web-native way. A team of 2 to 4 would work on something like this. Here's a nice graphic from Bloomberg called How Americans Die. It uses the stepper format, which is an interactive structure that tends to guide readers in a linear, narrative way through a set of data. Here, the story is carefully built to maximize understanding of the topic, while also giving readers some ability to explore the data. A project like this uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript libraries like jQuery. A team of 1 to 4 is likely. And here we have a motion-based infographic from the Times that I worked on that places Usain Bolt's record-breaking run in the London 2012 Olympics in the context of all medaling sprinters since the dawn of the modern Olympics in 1896. The key with graphics of this type is to distill all of the reporting we've done on a topic and what we've found notable and interesting about the data visualization into an engaging, linear, and narrative presentation to really pull readers into the story. One that hopefully teaches the reader a ton about the topic in a short amount of time. Notice that the page of the graphic has been designed to include a more traditional charting of the results as well for further exploration. As well as some photography and callouts of some of the more notable runners to pay attention to. Projects like this use 3D packages like Maya and Poser, motion graphics applications like Adobe After Effects, as well as Adobe Photoshop and audio production software for music and voiceover, and charting tools like R. The page itself employs HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The piece was actually developed with only 2 people, and some occasional help from a third. And for good measure, let's look at some static print graphics. The focus these days may have leaned heavily towards digital, but print is still very much alive, and static graphics can speak volumes. Here's a great one from the South China Morning Post about the Kowloon walled city. The piece marked the 20th anniversary of the demolition of what was a giant city within a city, made up of squatters living lawlessly. The imagery is striking and the illustration incredibly engaging, but also very informative. Most of what a graphic like this would require to produce is strong illustration skills and a product, likely Illustrator, to lay out and annotate the graphic. A team of 1 to 3 would work on something like this. I also love this print piece of theirs. It uses a static data visualization to display every sale of Picasso's paintings over his incredibly long and successful career, It also cleverly includes an explanation of his different painting periods, which is a nice added element. A piece like this can be made entirely within Illustrator, and requires a strong design sense and an understanding of how to display data effectively. This was likely produced by a team of 2 to 3 based on the amount of research. And take note of the use of annotation throughout to help bring the reader in and make sense of it, and not let it become too overwhelming. In the next chapter, we'll look at the main goals of different kinds of projects along the spectrum of information design, and understand better why the best are successful.